Selling your house and wondering what your seller closing cost may be? That's what we're talking about today, and we're starting right now. I'm Sherri Green with Coldwell Banker Realty. Welcome to Thursday Thoughts, a weekly series where I address a topic about the real estate industry, the buying or the selling process, or the real estate market in Washington, D.C. and Northern Virginia. The home buying transaction has closing costs for both the seller side and the buyer side. I want to caveat everything that I say today by something I say often. Real estate is local, so make sure that you check with the local jurisdiction that you are buying or selling in and confirm if what I'm going to talk about in terms of norms apply to your location. It could be a little bit different. The closing costs that I'm going to talk about today are typical for the DC and Northern Virginia market. On average, sellers pay 7 to 10% in closing cost. A mortgage payoff or back taxes would be in addition to that percentage. One of the biggest pieces of the closing cost for a seller are the taxes. In DC, they're called transfer taxes. That's technically transferring the name of the deed from yours into the name of the buyer. In DC, the transfer tax is 1.1% if your property is under $400,000, and it is 1.45% if your property is selling for $400,000 or higher. Those same tax rates get applied to the buyer's side as well. So technically in DC, you are splitting the transfer and the buyer's recordation tax when you go to the closing table. You'll also probably pay prorated property taxes. We do in the district. In the district, we pay our property taxes backwards. Legally, it's called in arrears. We pay for the previous 6 months of taxes. At the closing table, the settlement company will do the calculations on the tax bill related to the number of days that you as the seller own the home and the number of days that the buyer will own the home as it relates to that current tax bill. The bottom line is this: you'll only pay the property taxes for the days that you own the property. Also have settlement fees. Typically, the buyer's settlement costs are larger than the seller's, but you will have a settlement charge or an attorney charge depending on how your jurisdiction handles a settlement. In DC and Northern Virginia, typically the buyer pays their own closing cost. In some jurisdictions, you may be familiar with a seller paying the buyer's closing cost or the seller paying part of the buyer's closing cost, but that is not something that is typical in DC and Northern Virginia. It does happen, and it happens if the buyer and the seller negotiate those terms right at the beginning of the contract as it is being ratified. The last piece of your settlement cost is the commission. It is typical for the seller to cover the commission for both the buyer's agent and the listing agent out of their proceeds. So when you sign a listing agreement, you and the agent agree to a total commission. That commission is agreed to at the beginning of your listing process and should be in writing in your listing agreement with your agent. That commission is split between the buyer's agent and the listing agent. What happens with the commission is this: the commission goes to each of the two brokerages, and from there, the agents get paid a portion of that commission. If you like this video, make sure you watch this one next. And while you're here, don't forget to subscribe.